Hey, everybody, and welcome to the HERstory Collaborative. My name is Jen Buck, and I'm your host here in the collab. And as you know, I'm always bringing in women who are changing their little corner of the world. And I really admire this woman. Not only is she really funny, cusses like a sailor, which I love, but she is making waves in all of these different social platforms and helping people really tap into what they do in order to live a really fulfilling life. So my next guest, who I know you're going to enjoy, is Katherine Pacheco. She's the creator of Chakras and Cusswords, our spiritually influenced brand. It's a podcast and a community where she is lifting people up. Mind, body, and soul is the approach, and it's her foundation of the work that she does of helping others see their self-worth and their own roadblocks in their life in order to build a path of success. Now, the thing that I think is cool about Katherine as well, along with doing this great work, is that she is also an emergency room nurse right now. And as we all know, there is so much going on that is probably keeping her incredibly busy there. So without further ado, Katherine, welcome to the collab.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. I know this is so great to be face to face, and be able to just connect like this, because we're always sort of moving through the same social spheres, hearing each other on Clubhouse or seeing each other's posts on Instagram or whatever. So this is really cool.
Yes, this is fun. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to, introduce more people to Chakras and Cusswords, which is my podcast, my brand. And it's basically a mesh of like who I am as a person. It's like my spiritual part. And then I have my cuss words, which I feel like resembles more of like everyday life obstacles that a lot of us go through, where we, usually when we end up cussing, it's because something monumental just happened and we have to get out that cuss word and keep it kind of going. So thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So before we dive into your business, which I want to hear more about the community and what you're doing, the podcast and all that stuff, can we talk about you being a nurse in the ER right now? Because I feel like, we all are impacted. I mean, that's the whole idea of pandemic, is that every single person is impacted by this marker in time, right? And this has got to be really heavy for you to carry.
It is. Yeah. It's I don't know how else to put it. It's freaking heavy. Like it's heavy. It's different. I've been an ER nurse for a long time, like at least, I've been a nurse since 2011, and I've been an ER nurse probably for like 7 years of it. It's definitely different. I'm used to busy. I'm used to working in a high, chaotic area, but just having the COVID and the pandemic and so many different things that go with that, it's just overwhelming. Like, now the vaccine, and it's just so many emotions just everywhere. And it's like all being centered around almost like my profession. So it's really hard for me to like grasp. And there is sometimes that I really kind of question, like, I can't believe I'm in this.
Yeah.
When I first started working during the pandemic, of course, there was a lot of just uncertainty of what's going on, and there still is. When we heard of COVID, I remember in like February, we were watching, my husband, because he's in the medical field as well, and we were watching like YouTube or the news of like other parts of the country, because it didn't really hit us. And then I remember watching New York and having friends who went to New York from California and picking up travel assignments. And one actually got extremely sick and almost had to have a lung transplant from COVID. So there's so many dynamics with it. Like, I feel like 2020 was the year of the nurses. Like, we were granted that year through, I guess, I don't know if it was the American Nurses Association or who, said 2020 is the year of the nurses. And I feel a lot of nurses really owned that. It was our year because everything that is wrong with healthcare and society and how people see it just really got pushed on us. And like a lot of nurses walked away from the profession in 2020. A lot of nurses decided that it wasn't for them. Maybe it wasn't their passion. And I'll be honest with you, like this year and this last year, I just put a post like saying I've never thought about walking away from nursing until probably this past 2 years was, the start of 2020 was like times when I really thought like, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
Because most people become a nurse, especially an emergency room nurse, is because they want to save somebody's life.
Right.
And when you are put in an area where you're saving somebody's life and you're really almost risking your own, and that part, it's hard to take in. But like with police officers and EMS and paramedics and firemen and EMTs, they all do it every day.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who risk their lives to save other people. So, but the thing is, when you feel that not necessarily just the institutions of hospitals, but the economics and how society is built, that you feel like no matter how much you say, I need more help, I need more resources, I need this, I need that, I feel like I'm not performing as a nurse to my highest potential because there's just so many people.
Yeah.
And there's only like so little amount of nurses, there's only so little amount of space. Like we're just in a pandemic of not only the sick, but of the communities not being able to keep up. The hospitals aren't able to keep up with the growth of the communities. And I know like they try, but it's almost like when you're in this shovel of people and you have all these energies and you have all these different events and you feel like all these bricks are up against you and you just feel like you can't remove them, it really makes you feel like, is this even worth it?
Wow.
And so lately, like I have really been thinking about like how long am I going to stay in the emergency room? Because I'll be honest, like I don't feel like this is going to be our last pandemic. Like I don't feel like there's always going to be something. Like I feel like even if we do get COVID and the new Delta variant, if we do get it somewhat stabilized, there's still so many other issues going on that the emergency rooms are still going to be impacted. The ICUs are still going to be at capacity. Like we've had hospitals at capacity before COVID. And I do in some ways see the appreciation of now that we're in a pandemic, that it's starting to come to light. But this has been an issue for years before COVID.
Right.
So, I mean, COVID is very scary. I don't want to catch it. I don't want to get sick. It's something that I worry about, bringing it home to my family still. But I really feel for the patients who are, out in the community who catch it, and they are trying to do everything they can to stay safe. And then I feel for a lot of people who just have a lot of maybe, are reluctant to get the vaccine because, it's all new for everybody. And that's the thing, is this is all new for everybody. It's new for the medical staff. It's new for the community. it's new for everybody. You know, we have to try to educate each other and let each other know that, you know, this research is showing that it is safe. You know, I know a lot of people have areas where they don't feel confident with the vaccine, but for the most part, like I said on my podcast, I personally would rather play, you know, put my odds with the vaccine versus getting COVID, because I've seen people get extremely sick off of COVID and even possibly die, you know, and it's something that I've never seen before as a nurse. I've never seen so many people come in so sick where it's literally taken over a whole family.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen a whole family so sick off of the flu. I've never seen that. So just to get over that aspect, like this is so new. I've never heard a family saying like, my uncle died of COVID, you know, my mom died of COVID, you know, I've never had people say like all this has happened to them in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, I've been a nurse in the emergency room for like 7 years, I've never had anybody come in and say, yeah, my cousin died of the flu and my uncle died of the flu. And, you know.
Yeah. The number of videos that I've been seeing lately is killing me. I'm in the hospital. I didn't think it was real. I came in, it was beyond me being able to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
And, you know, the people saying my spouse or child died on the vent. We didn't think that it was this bad. I mean, it's just terrifying. It is so bad. And
Yeah.
I'm one of those that thinks people get to make a choice, but I'm also one of those that feels like I need to do what's right for the greater good.
Yes.
And so I understand that those are seemingly, you know, opposite one another, but there are times in life, and right now, you know, the certainty of living, I mean, we are truly talking life and death here, for billions of people is at risk. And that is when I all of a sudden have to say, okay, I've got to do what's right for humanity. And that's a hard choice for some people. And I feel really certain in my position, but I know that people are struggling with it. And it's with you seeing it firsthand on the front line, it's got to be frustrating.
I mean, and if you look at like the stats, I think they say 74% or 75% of healthcare workers are hospitalized. I know are not hospitalized, are vaccinated.
Right.
And I think the data that I just heard from my institution is that 95% or maybe 95 to 98% of the physicians are vaccinated.
Good.
So what was the, because my husband, he was the first, like the day the vaccine came out, I mean, I will be honest, I was a little like hesitant. I was like, well, you know, and you don't know. And I was a little hesitant. And the day the vaccine came out, my husband got vaccinated. Like he did not care at all. He knew he did not want to get COVID. Yeah. He got vaccinated. And it was like, you aren't going to wait like a few days to see what happens to everybody else. Like you want to be the first one, because the healthcare providers and the healthcare workers were the first ones to have the opportunity, depending on what department you worked in. So of course, ER and ICU were automatically like the first.
Yep.
And I think I did mine like 2 weeks, maybe like a week later, or his like to see what happened to him first.
After you knew there wasn't an additional arm growing out of his back, you figured, right?
But what I told one of my friends who was very reluctant to getting the vaccine, and I don't even know if she has yet, but I said to her, who are the smartest people you know? Who has the most education that you know? And that's a physician. And if a physician, if 95 to 98% of the physicians are saying, sign me up, I'll get it.
Yep.
They're not getting paid any extra money. They're not getting a bonus if they're vaccinated.
Right.
Like, they are saying, sign me up so I feel more protected. These people have gone, like, medical physicians have gone to school for like 6 to 10 years. I mean, they have the most education than probably anybody you know personally.
Right.
More than your friend on Facebook that you went to high school with.
Right.
More than, you know, the YouTube guy who has 100,000 followers. These are people who have devoted their life to medicine.
Right.
And finding cures and treating people and trusting medical research and medical, I mean, they're not going to say, yeah, give me this because it's probably, you know, I'm going to get it, you know.
Right.
No, they're saying, get me this so I don't end up getting sick and possibly on a vent.
Absolutely.
And they know they have to take care of patients who are highly contagious.
Right.
With a virus they do not want to get.
Right. Exactly.
You know, and I feel very sad for the medical community because I feel like people are saying, I feel like people are saying, we don't trust you guys. We see you know, and I'll admit there's sometimes, you know, we are very short, maybe with people, and we don't possibly have, especially in the emergency room, we don't maybe have the proper bedside manner that we should, and we don't have that caring, empathetic approach. So maybe we do seem a little not trustworthy for whatever, but it's like they're saying, we don't trust you with this preventative.
Yeah.
But we trust you enough for when we get sick and now we need you to save my life.
Brutal.
And it's like, yeah. And it's like, we're not telling you to get vaccinated because we want you to get hurt or we're getting a bonus or we're getting something like that. We're telling you, we don't want you to get sick and end up in our emergency room because we are already full.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so, and then when they get COVID and they get sick and they see my breathing's only like 80% on oxygen, on room air oxygen, and I'm like 38. Yeah. You know, it's like, it happens all the time. And it's not that we're trying to feed them some false information. This information is new to us too.
Yeah.
You know, we're just trying to keep ourselves safe, and we're trying to keep the community safe, and we're trying to take care of the patients, all the patients who, you know, have heart problems, or the patients who are having a stroke, or the patient who the kid was playing and fell out of the tree and broke their arm.
Right.
And now they have to wait even longer because we have no rooms. And this is the thing with COVID, is it's contagious enough where we have to put them in their own room, separated from everybody else. And we have to use air filters. And we have to make sure that it's not spreading around the emergency room. Right. So that means all our rooms are gone. So our regular patients who aren't necessarily there for COVID issues are now in hallways. They're now in chairs. I mean,
that alone should terrify people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
getting it, the hospital can't handle you in the same way that you would be dealing with a crisis in a hospital at a normal time. That's terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying because I mean, yes, we can still take care of somebody who's having a stroke in the hallway. We've done it before,
Sure.
but is it the best care we could possibly give you?
Right.
No, because most of the time, that nurse who's caring for that patient should only have that stroke patient, that one patient, especially if they got like, I guess you could say like a clot buster. If we see that it is a clot and we want to bust the clot, she should have only that one patient. And most likely what's happening is they have more than that one patient, and all the other patients she's not able to attend to, or he's not able to attend to, because a nurse is going to concentrate on the most critical patient.
Right.
So she's going to, or he's going to shift to the stroke patient, as we all do in the emergency room. Whoever's the highest acuity, who's has a life-threatening condition, we're going to go to them.
Right.
And we're all going to be centered there, because that's what we signed up for, is to save a life.
Yeah.
Not save a limb.
Right.
Not save, not save something else. And it's very sad, because as a society, our medical practices and our medical resources, and just almost like appreciation from not just the community, but also from corporations who are making billions of dollars, should be so much more than what they're giving us.
Yeah.
Because it just should.
Yeah, I agree with you. How do you mentally handle all of this?
How do I am very strict with my time. I guess you could say my boundaries. I mentally handle it because I'm able to talk to people who are in the same area as me. I mean, a rough day is usually a rough day in the ER. Like we're busy. There's been a few times, I've had to come home and sit in my car for like 20 to 30 minutes and cry before I come in my house.
Right.
I have a lot of nursing mentors who have been nurses for like 20 years plus. I know that if I need to, I can always call them. It's something I don't really discuss. Like, we don't, like, if we have something crazy happen or something like that, it is something that I'll say like, oh, today was wild, or, whatever like that. But the actual recentering of it, because there's times where we're especially in the emergency room, and we're always like this. We live at this.
Yeah.
And then when the adrenaline's going, we're just moving. And I mean, there's a few times that, I've cried in the nurse's station. Just the other day, maybe last week, I cried in the nurse's station. I don't even know the last time I've cried at work, because I've just been move. And there's tons of sad stuff going on all around me, but I'm just do. And something happened where it just kind of like, and next thing I know, and the other nurse said like one thing to me, and I'm like, Waterfall. And everybody's like, she never cries. Is she okay? And everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, so I went to the bathroom, try recenter myself, recoup, get okay. And then I get back, and everybody's like, is she okay? Is she okay? Is she okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? You need to talk? You need to go home? Like,
sure.
And then I said, no, try to tell them what happened. So we're just constantly moving. And then when we come home, we go, burn.
Yep.
Because home's very boring for us. It is. So like, I work out I try to work out at least 5 days a week.
Yeah.
But it's like we have this dump of energy, because we're used to going like this all the time. And then we go home and we're like,
yeah, I bet.
and we just let it dump. I mean, we find stuff to do, like, but most of the time I try not to do too much on my days off. Like, I try not to, I'll visit people, if I can, but I try not to overload my plate. Like, there's stuff I have to do, like normal stuff. And then my podcast has really helped me have something else to do that isn't centered around nursing, because I just feel like in an area where there's so much reality that I need something to break it up.
Yeah.
Where it's more like a creation or a creative space, because sometimes reality is too much to take in all the time.
Yeah.
You got to find others.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry about that. I cut you off because I got all excited, because I find it so fascinating that you are working in science, and then you've got this other side of you that is very spiritually based, the chakras, right? Mm-hmm. And so I love this. And that's what I was exactly wondering, is if that's kind of the yin to the yang and the balance that you use to kind of disconnect.
It is. And I would say, working in the emergency room, everybody wants to know, like, when did you have your spiritual awakening? And I feel like I was woke at birth. I know a lot of people don't understand that, but I honestly feel like when I was born with a heart defect. Mm. I had all these other blocks that when I was growing up, I had to have open heart surgery at 11 months. So when I was growing up, I had a lot of obstacles and I was very rebellious. Mm. So I had all these blocks that I overcame. I had a few life and death situations, a lot of PTSD. I still, have areas that I don't feel comfortable talking about, and areas that I just have to keep in my container. Mm-hmm. And that's where they live, and I have to keep them there, because if they're out, it will be too much. Right. So for me, it's very easy for me to see the spirit side of it, because I feel that I was always questioning death and life and death at a very young age. Wow. Like, because I was scared to live, because I thought if I lived, I was going to eventually die, because I had this heart defect. So my dad would always say, there's one thing we're guaranteed, and that's death. So live your life, enjoy it. And when I go, don't cry, because I was happy here. Mm-hmm. So it really is something that I have always been thinking about. And so when I see families in this area of grief and sadness, and just, and then they have that one moment where they're like happy. And I've had people thank me for caring for their husband, as their husband, passed away, and we did CPR, and the wife hugged me and said, I know you tried so hard, and she was like, thank you. And to see that people are still able to see that this is a moment, but they still have a life. Yeah. And this life has memories. So choose what the spirit and the soul want you to choose of your memories, so you can live your life. Wow. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, to all. Absolutely. Yeah. Tell us about Chakras and Cusswords. Tell us about what you do, and what the show is like.
The show is just a collaboration of, at first, I will tell you, the show was very nursing based. In the beginning, that was the beginning of the podcast. I knew I always wanted to have a podcast. I just didn't know what I wanted it to be about. And since nursing is like so much a part of me and my passion, and I literally started it in the middle of the pandemic, right when the pandemic started, and I was placed on disability by my cardiologist because she didn't want me to work with COVID patients. So I started it right there because I had this life altering shift where I was always told that like you can do mostly whatever you want, like your heart is healthy, you're fine. And then for somebody to say, I don't want you working right now, doing what I've always done, it was like a real like, like shock. So I started the podcast, and then I knew I wanted to touch on the spiritual aspect about it. I just had to transition it. So like the first season was just kind of like an introduction season. It had multiple topics. And then the second season, which we're on right now, is like relationships. And then the third will be like on manifestation. So it's just a combination of a little bit of everything. And of course, I have the chakras in there, and I will do like a podcast related to one chakra, or a podcast that is a chakra guided meditation. So it's something that has really given me the time to find the magic throughout the universe, where it's not necessarily always like nursing, because I can talk about nursing and I could talk about it all day. But for me, I need to release that and have time away from it.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And you've built a community around this, and you actually work with people to help them get through their blocks. So tell us about that.
So I have like a bunch of, I mean, I consider them like friends that I have been centered around for years. And what I do is basically, if they have a question about like certain chakras, or they want to do like chakra coaching. Lately, I've been doing a lot of oracle cards. Everybody wants an oracle card because it's so fun. And I honestly think it's almost like you're telling a story from a card, and it's really just so positive and just, a direction that you might not think of. And you can take it for what it is. Like I say, my readings are never like anything scary or bad. It's always like a light, a light around it. This is a direction. This is like this magical area where we're tapping into, and then we're going to release it, and you could go about your day. So that's what I've really been concentrating on. A lot of people like to find out why they have relationship issues. And most of the time it's like a misbalance with the chakras. So like, depending on like if it's your root chakra or like your sacral chakra, you might have somebody who's very confident in one area or a very strong root foundation. And then you have somebody who has an unstable or like depleted root chakra. And then maybe they're always anxious. And then you have one person who's very adventurous, and probably their chakras are imbalanced. So not just within themselves, but you'll see it kind of affect the relationship, especially the sacral chakra. Yeah.
Wow. So check this out. I've got a colleague of mine who every single day she has a CEO who is within the Fortune 500 who calls her every single morning to have her pick his card.
Nice.
Every morning. Can you imagine?
That is awesome.
I think it's amazing. I mean,
yes, that's amazing.
Really think about, people who are leading these huge global brands,
right,
open to this. And I feel like that's sort of awesome, right? That there's it's not just about business as black and white, hard charging, numbers driven thing, I love it.
And I think a lot of it has to do with like the manifestation part of it. I think last year I told everybody on my Instagram I wasn't going to get COVID. And I said, I'm not getting COVID this year. I'm not getting it. And I'm going to continue working in the emergency room. And I feel like when you put it out there and you put it, so not only the universe hears you, but you hear yourself.
That's it.
And you make sure you do things that keep it in the right direction of what you put out there, you will manifest it.
Yeah.
So like if somebody is like a CEO of their business, of course, they want a card.
Yeah.
It's a daily affirmation of what they should be manifesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm a huge manifester myself, and I have a list, and it's everything. I mean, it's down to health stuff as much as it is about, scaling my organization's growth. So it's all over the place. But the point is, I look at that probably 5 to 10 times a day and just read it out loud once. Every time I look at it, read it out loud. I am such a believer in all of this because I've watched it happen around me. I've watched things multiply far beyond what I had been doing for months and years prior. And it's just that constant focus. It's constant, I would say zoning in on what you want. And I think it's phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal. So I want to throw some questions. And yes, we've run over, and I don't care because I'm so into you and all of this stuff. So we're going to keep rolling with this. So I want to throw some questions at you. And these are our final sort of speed round questions. And they're just fun for everybody to sort of take in what answers come to you, like spur of the moment. So I'm going to throw them at you. It's about 10 of them. Cool?
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. So if you got an hour to sit on a park bench with your favorite woman from history, who would that woman be for you?
It would be Frida Kahlo, automatic.
Oh God, she's so great. Great answer. All right. What's your favorite place that you've ever been on the planet?
On the planet, ever, forever been would probably be Mexico at my grandfather's house and my grandma's house. Yes.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. If you were given $1 million to give to a nonprofit organization, who would you choose?
That would be Oakland Children's Hospital.
Oh,
that's where I had my open heart surgery. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. What is your favorite book or podcast? You don't have to choose one of each, just, whatever kind of person or learner you are.
So my favorite podcast besides my own would be Messy Minds. And there are a bunch of guys and he had me on as a guest too, but it's EMT out in San Joaquin County, and also like a paramedic, and they're breaking the stigma of PTSD in the EMS. Yes, in the EMS community out here. And they have a lot of great guests on there talking about how they call it the sucker up buttercup syndrome isn't really helping being in that line of work and being a first responder, and how, they all have these dark areas that they've journeyed down and how they've gotten through them, and having, somebody to talk to is like one of the major things on being able to cope in this.
Yeah. That is great.
Yeah.
Great thing. I'm going to pass that on. I have a lot of nurses in my life, and that tells you a little something about my personality, right?
Yes.
Because you are all this really distinct type of human being. Every one of you. You're all, but you're all the same squad, like same wicked personalities, super edgy, like, just there is just something about nurses, and I've got lots of you in my life. So
that's amazing.
I'll tell them about that podcast and yours, of course. It's very cool.
Yes.
Now, what is one quirky or wacky fact that not a lot of people know about you?
Quirky or wacky fact about me that not a lot of people know. I would say that I manifested the gender of my son.
Really?
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Love. Not thinking that's weird at all. I actually have an extra rib.
Oh, really?
That's my kind. That's one of mine. I've got so many weird and wackies, but that's one of mine. Yeah. So don't know why. Is what I also have tori. Tori in your mouth, the extra like bone. So behind my front teeth, if you look up tori online, behind my front teeth, I have all this protruding white bone between my teeth. Bone,
oh, wow.
And then your tongue lays here. It's the weirdest thing. I'm not going to do it now, but if I open up my mouth, you just see like these huge chunks of bone in my mouth.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have 4 baby teeth, so that's kind of quirky.
That is quirky. I love that. Okay. Love it. All right. So if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Definitely to fly.
Okay, cool. What's your most treasured item in your home or in your life?
I mean, my most treasured item in my would probably be the photos. The photos that aren't on a
Love it.
disc.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. So what's your theme song when you're walking on stage, getting ready to speak to people? What would you be sort of strutting on stage to?
It'd probably definitely be something Prince. It
Oh,
would possibly would be Seven
okay.
from Prince. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe even When Doves Cry, but I feel like it'd be Seven.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
What's one big thing that you want to accomplish before you're done?
I think I want to write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. What's the best word to describe you?
Truthful.
Yeah. I would totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And finish this sentence. Last one. When I'm really, really old, I hope to see.
When I'm really, really old, I hope to see my 6 grandchildren.
Oh, love. Yes. Love it. Beautiful. This has been so fun for me. I just think you're so interesting. You have so much to share. Your life force is big. Like you are just energy bounds off you. And I just think you are such a cool person. And I'm so grateful that you are here.
Thank you so much.
So can you tell people where to find you? Because I know you've got links and platforms and all of that. Tell us where we can find you.
Well, I feel like I'm on every social media platform. I'm on Instagram at Katherine_Pacheco. And I have the Chakras and Cusswords podcast. I also have chakras.cusswords on Instagram and on Facebook. And I have a Chakras Cussword YouTube channel. And my website is www.chakrascusswords.
Chakras Cusswords. Yes. Love that. Yep.
Yes.
So flippin' creative. I love it. So I hope that we can do this again. I know we're going to end up seeing each other and interacting on these different platforms that we're always sort of chatting on, around the ether. So I'm really grateful for you. And I hope we can do this again. You're so welcome. And for everybody out there, I just want to thank you for coming in and being a part of this. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me at jenbuckspeaks.com. And I want to make sure that I thank our sponsor for today's event, or for today's show, I should say, which is 100 Angels. 100 Angels is an organization that comes in and helps families that have been devastated by illness, financial troubles. Maybe they have just come to this country, but they are down and out. And 100 Angels comes in and helps them with medical care, clothing, food. They do what they can to create stability in an unstable environment. And they are remarkable in doing things that are just sort of life-changing for these families. So if you want to get in touch with 100 Angels and be involved, you can go to 100angels.org. So Katherine, I guess we'll say a final goodbye. I appreciate you, and hopefully we will be talking soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.